The wind screamed across the frozen land like a dying animal. The white storm covered everything, and nothing was visible except moving snow and cold air. Lena pushed through the storm with her small son Eli in her arms. Her fingers were numb, and her legs felt heavy. But she kept walking because stopping meant death. Eli's body felt lighter than before. Too light. His head rested on her shoulder. His face was pale. His lips were turning blue. Lena held him closer, trying to give him warmth from her own body. She whispered to him again and again, hoping he would hear her. "Stay with me, Eli. I am right here. Mama is here." But Eli did not answer. He only breathed in tiny, weak breaths that scared Lena more than anything. The cold was killing him slowly. Lena's chest felt tight. She had to find shelter soon. The storm was getting worse. The sky looked dark, even though it was daytime. The planet's winter was cruel and endless. Her boots sank into the snow with every step. Each step felt like lifting a stone. The wind hit her face like knives. Her eyes were full of tears that turned to ice. She looked around, hoping to see a cave. A light, a shape, something that meant safety. But she saw nothing. Lena had lived on this frozen world all her life. But she had never seen a storm like this. It felt unnatural. It felt like the world itself was breaking apart. She tried to move faster, but her body was too tired. Her breath came out in foggy clouds. She hugged Eli even closer, trying to protect him from the wind with her own back. "Please, please don't leave me," she whispered to him. Her voice cracked. Fear filled her heart like poison. She could not lose him. He was all she had, her only family, her only reason to fight through this cold nightmare. Suddenly her foot hit something hard under the snow. She stumbled but did not fall. She looked down, brushing snow with her hand. It was metal, smooth metal. Lena's heart jumped. Maybe it was a door, a hatch, something left behind by old settlers long ago. Maybe it was warm inside. She used her remaining strength to pull on it. But the metal was covered in ice and would not move. She pulled again and again, but her hands slipped. Her fingers were bleeding from the cold. She cried in frustration. The storm howled around her, pushing her back. Eli's breath grew weaker. She felt his small chest rise and fall slowly. Too slowly. Lena knew the truth even before it happened. His body stopped shaking. His breathing became silent. Lena gasped, "Eli?" She shook him gently. "Eli, wake up." But Eli did not wake up. He was too cold, too still. Lena fell to her knees in the snow. The world around her blurred. She rocked Eli in her arms, pressing her forehead to his. Her tears froze on her cheeks. Pain ripped through her heart like a blade. She screamed, but her voice was swallowed by the wind. She held her son close for what she thought was the final time. Her body became weaker. Her vision dimmed. Everything around her turned gray. She laid down beside her son in the snow, hugging him so he would not die alone. She did not care about the cold anymore. She only wanted to hold him until the end. Her eyes slowly closed as the storm raged over them. She felt her heart slowing, her body shutting down. In her last moment, she whispered, "I am sorry, Eli." Mama tried. Darkness covered her. She believed she died right there with her son. But then, something strange happened. A soft, warm light touched her face. She tried to open her eyes but failed. She felt warmth on her arms, legs, and face. Something warm covered her whole body. The air no longer hurt her lungs. There was no wind. No snow, no storm, only calm silence. She forced her eyes open. She expected to see the snow, the storm, the frozen waste, but instead, she saw a smooth silver ceiling above her. It looked like metal, but it glowed softly like the surface of calm water. She blinked. confused. Her breathing became normal again. Her fingers moved freely. There was no cold. She sat up slowly, her heart pounding. She was inside a room. A strange room that looked nothing like anything she had seen before. The walls were silver and smooth. Light floated in the air like small glowing orbs. Machines hummed softly around her. A warm blanket covered her body. The air smelled clean and gentle. She looked around in panic. Searching for her son, Eli? She cried. Her voice shook with fear. She threw the blanket aside and tried to stand, but her legs trembled. The floor was warm under her feet. She did not understand anything. Where was she? How was she alive? Footsteps echoed behind her. She turned sharply. A tall man stood at the doorway. He wore strange dark clothes that looked like armor, but lighter. His eyes were calm, but serious. His face was something she had never seen before. Soft lights glowed under his skin, like tiny stars. He stepped forward slowly, raising his hands to show he meant no harm. "Lena," he said gently. His voice was deep and calm. "You are safe now." She froze. Her heart raced. He knew her name. She tried to speak, but only managed a whisper. "Where is my son?" The man looked at her with steady eyes and said, "Your son is alive." Lena gasped and looked around, but she did not see Eli anywhere. Her fear rose again like fire. She took a step back. "Where is he? What did you do to him?" The man pointed to a glowing door at the side of the room. "He is healing, but you must stay calm." Lena did not move. Her whole body shook. She did not trust him. She did not understand anything, but she heard one thing clearly. Her son was alive. Somehow, some way, he was alive. The man stepped closer and spoke in a quiet voice. "Lena, there is something you need to know." Before she could answer, a sharp alarm echoed through the room. The lights turned red. The ground trembled. The man's eyes widened. "They found us," he whispered. And Lena realized her nightmare was not over. It had just begun. The red lights flashed across the silver walls as the alarm continued to scream. Lena's heart jumped in fear. She had no idea what the noise meant, but she could see it was bad. The tall man rushed to the door and touched a glowing panel with his hand. The room fell silent for a second, and shaking started again from somewhere far below them. Lena backed away, her eyes wide. "What is happening? Who found us?" she asked. Her voice was shaking. Her hands were shaking too. The man turned toward her, his expression serious and tense. "My name is Cade," he said quickly. "You and your son are in danger. We do not have time for full explanation, but you must trust me for now." Lena hesitated. She did not know him. She did not trust him. But she remembered the freezing snow, her son turning cold in her arms, the storm swallowing them. Somehow this strange man saved them from death. That was the only reason she stayed where she was. "Where is Eli?" she asked again, louder this time. Cade nodded toward the glowing door in the corner of the room. "Follow me," he said. "But stay close." The floor vibrated under their feet as Cade led her through the door into another room. This room was bright and warm. It looked like a small medical chamber, smooth and rounded, like it was shaped by light instead of hands. In the middle of the room was a transparent pod, softly glowing blue. Inside the pod lay Eli. His chest rose and fell slowly. His face had color again. His lips were pink. He no longer looked frozen or weak. Lena rushed to the pod. She placed her hands on the smooth surface, tears filling her eyes. "Eli, Eli," she whispered. Relief washed through her body like warm water. She wanted to lift him, but the pod did not open. Cade stepped beside her. "He is healing," he said. "The pod is repairing the damage done by the cold. He will wake soon." Lena looked at Cade, confused. How is this possible? What is this place? Who are you? Before Cade answered, a loud metallic crash echoed through the building. The walls rattled. Lena jumped in fear. Cade pressed his hand on another glowing panel, and a floating screen appeared in the air. Images moved across it, dark shapes, like metal creatures, crawling over the landscape outside the home. They had sharp legs and glowing red eyes. What are those? Lena whispered, terror rising in her chest. Cade stared at the screen, jaw tight. Hunter drones, he said. They do not stop, they do not feel, they only follow orders, and their orders are clear. He looked at Lena. Find you. Lena felt like the world tilted. Find me? Why me? I am just a woman from the village. I don't even know anything. Cade studied her carefully. You are not just anyone, Lena. He said in a low voice. There is something inside you. Something the old world left behind. She shook her head, stepping back. No, I don't understand. I'm nobody. Why would they hunt me? Another explosion rumbled through the floor. The lights flickered. Cade walked around the pod. Picking up a small device from the wall, it looked like a metal band with blue lights. He placed it gently on Lena's wrist. What are you doing? She asked, pulling her hand back. This is to protect you, Cade said. And also to show you the truth. The band lit up, sending a warm pulse through her arm. Lena gasped as a faint glowing pattern appeared under her skin. It looked like lines of light, forming shapes she did not understand. What is this? She whispered, shocked. Cade looked at her with a mix of relief and fear. Your genetic marker, he said. This proves everything. Lena stared at her glowing arm. I don't know what you mean, she said. Cade opened his mouth to explain. But another violent tremor hit the building. The floating screen flashed red. The drones are breaching the outer wall, he said sharply. We must leave now. He pressed a button on the pod, and it lifted into the air, floating smoothly like it weighed nothing. Eli slept peacefully inside it. Lena reached out but stopped herself, trusting that removing him might harm him. Cade pushed the pod toward a narrow hallway. Stay close to me and do not fall behind, he said. This place will not hold much longer. Lena had 1,000 questions, but there was no time. She followed Cade as he guided the floating pod through the shining corridor. The lights above them flickered with every impact. Machines in the walls made warning sounds. The hallway led to a round door that slowly opened like the petals of a flower. Beyond it was a long tunnel made of smooth metal, and warm mist floated along the floor like fog. Cade stepped inside, pulling the pod with him. This tunnel leads to the lower chamber, he said. You must see something down there. Lena hesitated at the entrance, looking back as the room behind them shook violently. The wall cracked, and sparks flew out. A sharp metal leg pierced through the silver surface. Glowing red, a drone was breaking in. Cade shouted, Lena, now! She ran into the tunnel as the door sealed behind her with a heavy metallic slam. The last thing she heard was the drone screeching, scraping the wall, searching for her, as Lena followed Cade deeper into the tunnel. Cold fear and burning questions twisted inside her. What was the truth he wanted to show her? Why were those machines hunting her? And most of all, how was she connected to this strange futuristic world? Whatever the answer was, she felt it would change everything. And there was no turning back now. The tunnel stretched long and quiet ahead of them. Warm mist touched Lena's feet as she followed Cade deeper underground. Her heart was still racing from the drone attack above. Every few seconds, she looked back, afraid the metal creatures would burst through the wall behind them. Cade moved fast, but kept the floating pod close to him. The soft blue glow around Eli made Lena feel both relieved and afraid. He looked peaceful, but she did not know how long his healing would last. She wanted to touch him again, to feel his skin warm instead of cold like before. But Cade had warned her the pod should not be opened. The tunnel soon opened into a huge circular chamber. The room was massive, bigger than her village. The ceiling was so high she could not see the top. Lights moved across the walls like stars in the night sky. The air hummed softly, and the floor vibrated with distant power. Lena stopped at the entrance, stunned. "What is this place?" She whispered. Cade stepped forward and turned to face her. "This is the heart of the planet," he said. "It is older than your village, older than your family line, older even than human memory." Lena frowned, trying to understand. "My people lived here for generations," she said. "But we never knew about this." Cade nodded. "Your people were not meant to know," he said slowly, "because this planet is not a natural world. It is a constructed one." Lena felt cold even in the warm chamber. "Constructed?" She repeated. "You mean someone built the planet?" "Yes," Cade replied. "Not humans, but an ancient alien civilization. They created many worlds like this one for experiments. Research and long-term observation." Lena stared at him, shocked. "But why put humans here? Why hide the truth?" A deep rumbling sound echoed through the chamber, and the lights along the walls pulsed brighter. Cade lifted his wrist device and scanned the room. "Because the system is failing," he said. "You saw the storm above? The freezing land? The collapsing environment? It is because the planet's core technology is breaking down after thousands of years." Lena looked around, fear rising again. "But what does this have to do with me?" She asked quietly. "Why are those drones hunting me?" Cade slowly walked toward her, his eyes serious. "Because you are the key to fixing everything." Lena froze. "What?" "That's impossible," she said, shaking her head. "I am not special. I am not important. I was just trying to save my son." Cade raised her wrist and pointed at the glowing pattern under her skin. "This is not normal," he said. "This is a genetic marker placed inside certain bloodlines long ago. Only a few people carry it, and it allows them to interact with alien systems." Lena stared at her arm, the glowing lines shining faintly like small rivers of light moving under her skin. The sight scared her. "I never saw this before," she whispered. "You wouldn't," Cade said. "The marker activates only when the planet's system detects danger, and now it is calling for you." Another deep rumble shook the ground, and the pod holding Eli flickered for a moment. Lena panicked. "Is he okay?" Cade checked the pod quickly. "He is stable for now," he said, "but we do not have much time. The planet's temperature control is failing. If we don't reach the core, everything will freeze." Lena felt her heart pound. "What must I do?" Cade led her toward the center of the chamber, where a huge circular platform glowed with pale blue light. It looked like a sleeping giant machine, carved from crystal and metal. Parts of it pulsed like a heartbeat. Other parts were dark and cracked. "This is the control nexus," Cade said. "It manages the entire planet, and it responds to your genetic marker." Lena took a step back. "So? I'm supposed to fix this?" "Yes," Cade said. "But you must understand, the drones above were not only hunting you." Lena's eyes widened. "Then who else?" "The Nexus is controlled by two forces," Cade explained. "One wants to preserve the planet. The other wants to shut it down permanently. The shutdown drones are programmed to find and eliminate anyone with your genetic marker. So you cannot reboot the system." Lena's breath caught in her throat. "So they were trying to kill me?" "Yes," Cade said softly. "And they will not stop." The chamber suddenly echoed with a faint metallic screech. Cade spun around, his eyes sharp. He pressed a button on his wrist, and the tunnel behind them sealed itself shut with thick metal plates. "They are getting closer," he whispered. "We must begin now." He guided Lena onto the glowing platform. Her heart beat so fast she felt dizzy as she stepped forward. The lights under her feet responded, rising brighter like they were greeting her. Lena swallowed, her voice shaking. "Will this hurt?" "Maybe," Cade said honestly, "but you are stronger than you think." A soft light rose from the platform. Surrounding her body like warm fog, the glowing pattern on her arm pulsed in sync with the Nexus. Then the entire chamber vibrated as the ancient machine woke up from its long sleep. Lena's breath caught. She felt something pulling on her mind. Whispering, calling, remembering. This world was connected to her. And she did not know if she was ready for the truth waiting inside the machine. But there was no way back, only forward, and the future of her son depended on what she did next. The Nexus platform glowed brighter and brighter around Lena. The soft fog became warm and heavy, almost like invisible hands touching her skin. The humming sound grew deeper, echoing through the chamber like a heartbeat rising from the ground itself. Lena's glowing arm pulsed faster, matching the rhythm of the ancient machine. She gripped her wrist, frightened by the light inside her. "Cade, what is happening to me?" she whispered. Cade stood beside the pod holding Eli, watching the readings on his wrist device. His face was serious. "The Nexus is linking with your genetic code," he said. "You are awakening its main functions. But we must be fast." As if answering his fear, the entire chamber shook violently. Dust fell from the high ceiling, and several wall panels flickered. A sharp metallic screech echoed from the tunnel behind them. The sound grew louder, closer, more aggressive. "They broke through the seal," Cade said, his eyes widening. "The drones are inside." Lena's heart pounded. "Cade, stop this. We must run." But Cade shook his head. "If we leave now, the planet dies in days," he said. "The storms will grow stronger, and everyone on the surface will freeze." Another screech, a horrible metal scream, echoed through the chamber. Lights burst in the tunnel. Lena turned and saw shadows moving fast, legs scraping against metal. "Cade!" she cried. "They're coming." "Then we finish this now," Cade said firmly. "Lena, step forward." With shaking legs, Lena moved into the center of the Nexus platform. As she did, lines of ancient symbols lit up under her feet. Circling her in glowing blue rings, the lights rose around her like pillars, and the machine's heartbeat matched her own. Suddenly, a surge of energy shot up her arm. Lena gasped, almost falling. Cade rushed to her side. "Stay strong. Do not fight it." But the pain grew sharper. It felt like fire rushing through her veins. The lights around her grew blinding. Lena cried out, "I can't." "Yes, you can," Cade said, gripping her shoulders. "You are human, and humans survive because they refuse to break." The machine around them roared awake. Deep vibrations moved through the floor, and huge rotating rings lifted from the platform. Spinning slowly like giant gears, they radiated heat and light, casting long shadows across the chamber walls. The drones reached the entrance. 3 of them crawled into the chamber with glowing red eyes, their metal bodies shining like knives. They locked onto Lena at once. Cade pulled out a weapon from his belt, a small metal device that unfolded into a glowing shield. He stepped in front of Lena, blocking the drone's path. "Focus," he shouted to her. "The Nexus is almost awake." Lena closed her eyes and let the machine's light surround her. The glowing pattern under her skin spread through her whole arm, then across her chest, then her neck. The machine connected to her like she was part of it. A loud, deep voice echoed inside her mind. It wasn't a language she knew, but she understood it. Identity confirmed, heart bearer detected. System ready for command. Lena gasped, her eyes snapping open. "Cade?" "It's talking to me," Cade blocked a drone strike with his shield, sparks flying. Then tell it to stabilize the planet. He shouted. Lena took a deep breath. System, fix the cold. The machine responded instantly. Stabilization requires full reboot. Do it. Lena said, her voice shaking. Warning, the machine replied. Full reboot will shut down all systems temporarily, including life support. Lena's eyes widened. Does that mean we will die? Before Cade could answer, one drone leaped at him. He dodged, slashing its leg with a glowing blade that formed from his wrist device. The drone shrieked in metallic rage. Cade shouted, Lena, listen to me. If we don't reboot the system now, everyone dies anyway. But if we reboot, there is a chance. Another drone crawled toward the floating pod holding Eli. Lena screamed, Nitrogen monoxide. Waves of energy burst from her body, slamming into the drones. They flew backward across the room like metal toys, crashing into the far wall in smoking pieces. Even Cade stared at her in shock. The Nexus lights flared. Energy output exceeding expected human capability, the machine announced. Lena felt the energy draining her strength. Just do the reboot. She shouted at the machine. Save this world. The chamber lights turned white, blinding her. The air crackled with electricity. The rings spun faster, rising above her head like a storm of light. Cade grabbed the pod and pulled it close to Lena. Stay with me. Don't let go. Lena reached out and touched the pod. Placing her hand on the glass above Eli's chest, she whispered, Please, stay alive. She looked at Cade, her eyes full of fear. I'm scared. Cade held her arm tightly. Courage is not about feeling safe, he said. It's about fighting even when you're terrified. And that's what makes humans powerful. The Nexus spoke again. Reboot sequence beginning. Prepare for system reset. The entire world shook. The chamber exploded with white light. Everything vanished. The drones, the tunnels, the machine, even the ground under their feet. And then there was nothing but silence. Lena felt her body floating, her son's pod beside her, Cade's hand gripping hers. The world dissolved into brightness as the planet rebooted around them. She didn't know if she was alive or dead, but she knew one thing. Her choice would change the fate of all humanity on the frozen world. There was only white light, endless and soft. Lena felt weightless. Like she was floating in a warm dream. She tried to open her eyes. But everything around her was too bright to understand. She felt Cade's hand holding her tightly and the presence of Eli beside her. Safe inside the pod, then slowly the light faded. The world formed around her again, but it was not the frozen world she remembered. Lena opened her eyes fully, and her breath caught in her throat. She stood on soft green grass, fresh and warm under her feet. A gentle sun shone above, not harsh, not cold, just perfect. The sky was blue, clear, wide. Something she had never seen in her life. No snow. She whispered, No storm? She looked around in awe. Trees with bright leaves stood nearby. A small river flowed with clean water. Birds flew in the sky, singing softly. The air smelled sweet, full of life, not the sharp, bitter cold she had always known. Then she heard a small voice. Mama? Her heart jumped. She spun around and saw Eli standing behind her. Smiling, he was awake, warm, alive. His cheeks were pink, his eyes bright. He ran toward her, and she fell to her knees, hugging him tighter than ever. My baby. You're alive, she whispered, crying with happiness. Eli hugged her back with small arms. Mama, I'm not cold anymore, he said. It feels nice here. Lena kissed his forehead again and again, relief washing over her like sunlight. She looked up and saw Cade standing a few steps away, watching them with a tired smile. You did it, he said softly. The reboot worked. Lena wiped her tears and looked at him. Is this really our world? She asked. The same planet? Cade nodded. Yes, but now it is restored to how it was meant to be alive. Warm, full of life. Lena looked at the trees again. The sky, the river, she felt like she was in a dream. I still don't understand, she said. How did all of this happen? Cade walked toward her, his voice gentle. The Nexus used your genetic marker to restart the planet's systems, he explained. The ice melted, the storms ended, the air returned to normal. The world healed. Lena looked at her arm. The glowing pattern gone now, only her normal skin. And the drones? She asked. The machines that hunted me? Destroyed during the reboot, Cade said. They were part of the old failing system. Eli tugged at his mother's hand. Mama, look, he said, pointing at the river. Fish. Lena smiled, her heart full. For the first time in her life, she felt hope instead of fear, warmth instead of cold, life instead of death. Cade watched her quietly for a moment before speaking again. Lena, everything here is new now. Your people will wake up into a different world. Lena turned to him. Will you stay with us? Cade's smile faded a little. No, he said softly. My mission here is complete. There are many other broken worlds out there that need help. My work never ends. Lena felt a sudden sadness. But you saved us. You saved my son. Cade shook his head gently. No, Lena, he said. You saved this world. You faced fear, pain, and death itself, and still chose to fight. That is the power of humans. That is the reason I help your kind. Eli walked up to Cade and hugged his leg. Thank you, he said softly. Cade knelt and placed a gentle hand on the boy's hair. Grow strong, Eli, he said. This world is yours now. He stood, stepped back, and activated a device on his wrist. A glowing portal of light opened behind him. Swirling like a small star, Lena took a step forward. Cade, will we ever see you again? He looked at her with warm eyes. Maybe, he said. Humans always surprise me, and you. You surprised me the most. Lena felt tears rise again, but this time from gratitude, not fear. Goodbye, Cade, she said. Cade nodded once. Goodbye, Lena. He stepped into the portal, and the light swallowed him. A moment later, it vanished, leaving only the soft wind and warm sun behind. Lena held Eli close and looked at the new world around her, full of color, warmth, and life. This world was no longer dying. It was beginning again. And it was her choice or courage that saved it. As she walked forward with Eli's hand in hers, she whispered, Humans fight. Humans survive. Humans rise again. The frozen nightmare was gone. A new chapter for humanity had begun, and Lena would lead her people into it. Stronger than ever, this was not the end. It was the beginning of a human victory, a true HFY story in a new world of hope.